measures of the Invention number 9 in F minor. And that was the first utterance of the subject. It's quite interesting to me, of all the inventions in sinfonias, this one is built on a 4-measure phrase. That's a very long, what I just played, that's the opening subject in the key of F minor. Is natural minor, harmonic minor, and melodic minor and we have both harmonic minor and melodic minor in this piece. If I start with the upper voice, we only have 2 voices in this, and I'll call them soprano and bass. The soprano starting, outlining the 5-finger pattern of F minor, and leaping to the 6th note of the scale, that's a minor 6th. Measure 2. There's your harmonic minor. Now he goes on. It's so high. And then falls down. Now the counter subject, which is in the bass at the beginning, sounds like this. Leaping up the octave. There's the melodic minor. These half steps are so important. So what is Bach doing now with the next 4 measures? I'd like to bring your attention to this beautiful satellite view that you get with your chart. I invented this, and I think it's the single most important tool that I have to get my mind around how the piece is really built. And I'd like to show you that how I engraved this piece. I have re-engraved the entire piece. All the notes are exactly the same as other editions, but how it looks is completely different. I call these systems, or lines in our regular language. System 1 has our opening subject in the soprano, the counter subject in the bass. System 2 uses invertible counterpoint, and the parts are just flipped. So therefore, it's the soprano then on our second system with the counter subject, and the bass with the subject. And one of the features about this that I love so much is there is bar line vertical alignment. And I, for my own personal use, took red for the subject and blue for the counter subject. And you can see here, I'm going to now play for you the 2 subjects, and I can read like an orchestral score at the same time. I don't have any lines to skip with my eyes, and the same thing with the counter subjects. And this is a very good way of testing whether it's identical material. So here we have taking lines 1 and 2 with the subject. That leap. Where's he going? Half step. They are indeed identical. Now let's take the counter subjects. Aside from the very first note, they become identical. Now that's really a beautiful part. And the 2 together now, this is what just amazes me about this piece. How is it possible with only 2 voices that we can go into this inner world? To me, this is a world locked in of grief and loneliness. and how he uses these two voices as threads, intertwining, is how I'm going to base the lesson now. All the different ways that these parts converge and diverge. So now we're going to play it from the top as written, and I'm going to talk as we go of what I consider points not to miss. Starts like the opening, but instead of this, he gives us the 10th. How vast this is, the distance. Now you can tell we're getting out of F minor, Now here are the parallel 10ths in measure 3 again. Like C minor, but we don't know for sure. This is a bit of magic right here in measure 12, because he's going, if we're in C minor, he's going back and forth between the C, the new tonic, and the E flat, which is the third of C minor. So the hands get to pass the torch. Very beautiful. Measure 2. Our parallel 10ths, measure 3. And that is the first half of the piece. Let's take a look at that last line with just the bass part, because there's very interesting material going on here, and I'd like you to imagine a cello here. Going on. Breath. Such a beautiful line. How long was that? Well, I'll tell you, it was 5 measures long. And what I did on our page 1, purposely, I engraved it so we would have 4 measures and 4 measures with our subject and counter-subject material. Then we have our getting out of the key here, and it's only 3 measures. And here is our parallel 10ths, measure 3, parallel 6ths, measure 3, parallel 10ths, measure 3. Do you see how beautiful this is? It's the measure 3 that's giving the parallel writing, and on the last system also measure 3, parallel writing. So if you have these 3 measures and these 5, it's a total of 8, and 4 and 4 is 8. So we really have a complete balance, 16 measures on page 1. I just think that is so beautiful. Now, at this point, I'd like to show you what you also get with your chart, and it is this addendum, ornamentation addendum. And where we just stopped is the bottom of page 1, which ends with this written out trill. And there are 2 ways to do, well, probably more than 2, but I've given you 2 different ways, all written out, of how to do your trills. And they can either be a slow, measured trill, like this, or a little faster trill, a few more turns. I prefer. Why? Why do I prefer that? Because at this moment in the piece, it's a moment of exhale. It's a moment of releasing all of the energy inside of us. And for me, I almost feel like my heart is fluttering. I'm just almost breathless, out of breath. A vibrato with the singer, or like I said, with the cello there. You know, you want to visualize instruments and voices in your mind, because that's going to give you ideas of how to bring this out in the piano. We're transcending the instrument here. Now we get to go on to our page 2. We ended on C minor. Let's take this trill again. Oh, by the way, this is called, at this point here, it's called a prepared trill, and it has a long line preceding the trill, and all it means is to rest on that note a longer time, prolong it. Instead of, gives meaning. There's that same third that we started the line with, and here it is, inverted. Going on, page 2 now. Now we're in the dominant, C minor. And we have the counter subject. I love my protractor because it gives me absolute pinpoint precision of the lines here. We have our counter subject in the soprano, and we have our subject in the bass. And this is almost identical to our opening, except the parts are inverted. Invertible counterpoint, and something quite remarkable is coming. I'm going to play it. Subject in the bass. There's that minor sixth going up. The major sixth. Now here's our parallel sixths. Measure 3. This is what it would have been in the original, but Bach does. Do you hear where that takes us? This is a ninth. The dissonance and the distance between these two. Now I could, that's such a, you're not expecting it to go there. Up a tenth. Resolve. Next measure, soprano. Tenth. Resolve. Can you tell what key we are in here? For a very brief moment, just a measure, we've gone to our relative major, A flat major. Now, what's interesting about this line here, I'm going to go back to our satellite view and show you where we are here. This is the only line in the piece, right here, where I just played those leaps, where he breaks it down now into 2 groups of 2 measures. This is a standalone line here. And the outer outline, if you take this chordally, actually makes these chords. And then the parts invert and we get. And he makes it even more interesting by that leap, because really this, he does. See how beautiful that is? And the same with this one now. Pretty simple, but how he makes this so unexpected. So I'm going to play it now as written, and I want you to relish where we get to the A flat major, because I do when I play this. This is the little bit of light that's coming in a very dark personal prism. That's how this is for me. I'm not exaggerating. This is a very lonely piece. So let's start here at measure 21. Now we're getting a sequence. So these two systems, the one I just finished with the pairs of 2 and 2, and this following system has a sequence. These are the standalones in the piece. There isn't anything else like it in the piece. Now what he's going to do in this sequence, I'm going to take the bass first. Outline F, E flat, D flat, C. You know what he's giving us. He's telling you we're going back home to F minor. Now in the treble, the right hand, the soprano, Bach is taking our opening subject, running, walk, walk, stop as a rhythm, and he's doing what's called diminution. He does this. Running, walk. See, that's different. It's compressed. It's happening in a faster time period. And that's one of the tools in counterpoint to do that. So if I put the hands together here now with this sequence, listen to how he's gently bringing us down and down and down. Look at that distance. 10th plus an octave. 10ths everywhere in the piece. What I love also about the piece is sometimes the lines come together and sometimes they go apart. And it's a dance. It's like a slow motion dance. So follow those directions of lines coming together. Diverge. Such an incredible way to end the piece. He's taking our opening subject in the soprano, exactly like the beginning. I want to show you another thing that's so wonderful about these charts, my edition. Because they're loose leaf, you can actually compare and lay them down. You can see that the soprano here and the soprano here are absolutely the same, exactly the same. It just makes it easier to compare and be sure. Now the bass, the left hand, is another time with the cello solo, this time in 6 measures. This is our end. It's an enormous distance. Parallel 10ths in measure 3. That's our mantra. I just want to show you something. How far apart this is. Listen to how different it sounds if it's here. And we know that's what we had in measure 3 of the piece, this far apart. Measure 3 at the end is this far apart. Profound difference. We couldn't break out of this frozen emotional landscape. In fact, we're darker than ever at the end. single F, single tonic, distance of 2 octaves. At the very end in the cello line there, he's giving us the outline of the F minor triad. He does this all the time in endings, but he's not going to give it that obviously. He's going to disguise it with this beautiful stepwise melody. F, A flat, C, dominant, and tonic. So here is really just a magnificent piece. I think this is one of the jewels of the literature. And you will play this your whole life and get more and more sustenance from it. Whatever's going on in your life, there's always a piece that's going to reflect that. And if you are feeling lonely, if you are feeling despair, and you're overwhelmed with things, which happens to all of us in life, a piece like this is such a comfort. I surrounded myself like a warm blanket with this piece, having just been through something very difficult myself. And it did comfort me. It was really amazing. And when I play it now, what I do, and I will recommend this to you, whether you're practicing or whether you're performing it, give yourself to the music. Surrender to the piece. Release your inner struggle and put it all into the music. And you will have a healing. You will feel a balm and a soothing. And I think that's what Bach had in mind with this piece. So I hope this has helped you. I've very much enjoyed sharing this magnificent F minor invention. Thank you.